Okay, welcome to this week's episode of Luv Subbin.
And if you watch our video last week, we diagnosed our battery and determined it was dead.
Yep, and so after lots of thought, lots of deliberation, lots of calculations, we went lithium.
Yes, we did. And we had a bunch of different reasons for doing that.
Yeah, so we're going to go over the reasons. First of all, why we went to lithium, why we chose lithium over AGM, and why we went with Battleborn.
Correct.
And then in this video, we're going to show you everything
We did to convert to lithium from lead acid.
including the biggie, changing our converter over from lead acid to lithium.
Correct.
So come along in this episode. Okay, so the first thing is why did we go lithium?
We had several reasons for this, and a big one, and this is a big one for anybody who is making a change in their battery, is that we had different energy needs 6 years ago than we do now.
Our needs have changed a lot, and when we left in 2019, when we purchased this battery, we had just started our YouTube channel. And YouTube requirements have changed a lot for us, our power needs.
Right. We also didn't have an inverter at the time as well.
Yes, so our big power needs are our camera and
Our laptops.
Our laptops. All of that stuff requires 120 volt power to function. And so when we're hooked up, it's no issue.
Correct.
But when we're boondocking and all of a sudden we need to recharge camera batteries, laptops to do editing,
And
all that
don't
other
forget
stuff.
Starlink.
And then last year we bought Starlink. And Starlink, of course, it's a power hog. We're going to be testing that. But, you know, we bought that because for those of you that don't know YouTube, you've got to upload these videos and you have to have a place to upload them.
And McDonald's is not fun.
We did find out, however, if in case you have a need, McDonald's does have the fastest Wi-Fi of any like fast food
Because
place.
no one's using it. Everybody's using the Wi-Fi at Starbucks.
Yeah, nobody goes to McDonald's to pull up their laptop and do work.
True.
We did.
Yeah, we did.
And so one too many quarter pounder later, we're saying
maybe not.
yeah, maybe not. So if you look at our 2019 camping season, and you can check out that playlist up here, this was our first ever long-term, long trip and our first soiree into what we call most timing.
Correct.
So for the most part, we were weekend warriors. We were hooked up at Airstream rallies, and we didn't have that need for boondocking.
But when we went out west, there was so much boondocking available that it was fun to look for it, right?
Exactly. So our camping style has changed, and our electrical needs have changed. The other thing that's driving our thing to lithium is
The fact that we have only one battery.
yes. And so many years ago, when we were thinking about most timing, I don't think we're ever full time. We might, but we were going to do one of two things, and you can see here in this video, we'll explain one option that we had with regards to AGMs. So like we were talking about upstairs, our Airstream's got a very unusual configuration in that the propane tanks are right up against the wall of the Airstream. Most of them are up forward this way, and that leaves space for two batteries in your A-frame. We have only one space for a battery in our airframe. And when Cindy and I started doing some more full-time, most time camping, we were saying something needs to be done, and our choices were basically to go to lithium or to have a welder come out, cut this off, move it forward, and then build a box or buy the box and have them weld it in and put two AGMs. We felt one lithium was better than two AGMs.
And also the expense of having to move the propane tanks and do something different.
Right, and plus, you know, AGMs were $400 a piece. You know, that's the cost of a lithium right there without having to make all the extra cost. So as you can see, you know, with just one battery, we really have to maximize things.
Right. So yeah, we were going for the most power for the buck and for the space as well. We don't have these big battery banks that these modern Airstreams have. And
when we were pricing things out, you know, the lithiums we got a pretty good deal at Battleborn. There was a 15% off sale.
Yep.
And so it came out to what,
about $250, $300 difference between an AGM, and it would be one AGM versus one lithium.
So the more we thought about it, for us, with one battery, with increased power needs, with an increased desire to boondock.
Yep, and also we have a very small, relatively speaking, battery, because we have a Group 24?
Yes, so exactly. If you see some of this picture here, for example, you can see this picture. It is a 75 ampere hour battery.
And most of them that people get are now 100 amps.
So again, we're trying to pack as much stuff
into this little tiny space.
And in our case, lithium made sense.
It did. And we chose Battleborn because they are made in the USA.
Yeah, so I so wanted to go with the Redodio. There's some YouTubers that we follow that did the Redodio upgrade. They love Redodio.
Yep.
But Cindy gave me the requirement that said, you know what?
I'm proud to support American products.
For those of you that know me, I worked in manufacturing for 25 years here in the United States. Some of the best, hardest working people I have ever met and known in my entire life are the mechanics, machinists, operators, right out on the floor.
And we try to support these products. We like Equalizer, which is made in the USA.
Goodyear, which is made in South Carolina. And Battleborn, which is made in Reno. So
yeah. And the other thing with Battleborn is they have really good customer service. But we got onto the phone with this guy, and he was very helpful for us because he talked to us about converting from lead acid to lithium and what we needed to have, and he made sure we had everything that was required.
And he was pretty impressed with our preparedness because our solar power is already set up for lithium conversion, our battery charger is set up for lithium conversion, our converter is set up for lithium conversion, and our Victron BMV battery monitor was already installed. So all this other stuff he was trying to sell me, I'm like, yeah, I already got it, dude.
So the one thing we did not get was the heater.
Yes. And my engineering philosophy, of course, is that things seldom fail because they're too simple. And we started to talk, do we need to have the heater option? And I know you can't charge a lithium battery when it gets below 32 degrees.
But the opportunities that we have to boondocking when it's really cold are very rare.
Yes.
And we don't enjoy that as much.
And when we've camped down to 14 degrees in the winter, you can check out that video here of some of our winter camping. But when it's that cold,
we have shore power.
We have shore power. And the Battleborn batteries will not allow themselves to charge when it gets too cold. So we'd be hooked up to shore power, we'd be running our furnace, and we would be able, it wouldn't damage the battery at all. And again, that's how our camping has changed dramatically, because we would never boondock, we would never even be taking the Airstream out basically after October or before April or May.
We would put it to bed.
It was in storage and we were never using it. Now, as we're traveling back and forth, we are hitting those boondocking nights in October.
Yeah, some of the colder ones.
And we've woken up when the cabin's been in the 40s.
Yeah, correct. And we have that little buddy heater, which is great. But if we had a lithium battery, perhaps we could just give it a little spurt of
heat
furnace
every now and then. Just set it real low. And with the lead acid, we would have been dead before we woke up, the battery. So now some of you will ask, did I also get a DC to DC charger, which everybody seems to be getting these days?
Yep.
And I did not. And the reason for that is that we have only one battery, so our truck is charging a single 75 ampere hour battery versus most people who have a minimum of 200 amps with the 2100s. And some people, of course, have massive battery banks that they have to get charged. We have one 75 amp battery. Plus, we anticipate our power usage going up with a lithium battery. But for the most part, we're only using 20 to 25 amps a day.
And we don't have a battery operated refrigerator as well.
Yes, exactly. So that's a great point, because those of you who love your compressor fridges, great, but those things are drawing, you know, anywhere from 3 to 5 amps an hour.
Yep.
Our propane fridge draws basically nothing. So we're not having to recharge it a great deal. It's not like when we're pulling out of our campground, we're going to be at 30% charged or 50%.
We're not running it during the time we're traveling either on the battery.
Right. So the DC to DC charger right now there is out. Comment below if you think, even though I should get a DC charger, and you better make a good argument, because I'm simply saying everyone else does it is not good enough for me. So, all right. So in this next section of the video, we're going to go over all different kinds of stuff. We're going to show electrician Cindy doing what?
We're going to be converting our converter to lithium from lead acid.
Yeah.
And how did we do that?
And we're going to do the other stuff like putting the connectors on, changing the things over. We're going to be doing the testing to make sure it works.
Yep.
And I think we'll even do some thermal imaging to make sure that we don't have any hot spots in our connections. All the things you should be doing.
Yep.
Well,
maybe not the thermal imaging, but
if you're Luv Subbin.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, let's do it. So, Sin, what is the first step in our project today?
Well, I think I'm going to clean it up a little bit with some compressed air, because it looks a little dusty, so I'm going to hopefully blow some of this away.
All right, so we're going to start with a clean project. That way, if we're making any connection or anything, we're not going to get any dirt or anything like that in any of the connections. So yeah, we're going to start off with that. So before we begin talking about the converter, I just want to mention that I am not a licensed electrician. I'm not a certified RV tech. And if you want to read our full disclosure, you can do so in the video's description.
Right. It's up to your judgment whether you have the skills to do this.
Yes. So the first thing is safety first. Of course, there's no battery because the battery's out, but we are also, of course, not plugged into shore power. You never, ever get into your converter when you're plugged into shore power or your battery is connected. So let's go ahead and talk about this a little bit. This is a PD4655VL converter, and it was put in by me in August of 2021. And if you want to check out that video of how I put it in, you can go ahead and check that out up here. But let's just go ahead and take a look while we've got the doors off and stuff. So there's three basic parts to the converter unit here. There's your 120 volt breaker panel. There's your 12 volt fuse panel. And then there's your actual converter down here. And some people will say often, sometimes they hear like a noise come on, like under their dinette or wherever their converters. That's a little cooling fan here.
Yep.
Coming on to cool the converter part.
And when we put this in, we looked forward to maybe getting lithium. So we got one.
So it was 3 years ago.
Right.
And we said, you know what, we need to make sure that our converter is capable of lithium, even though at the time our lead acid was doing great. So before we begin our project, whenever you're doing something like this, you want to make sure you make things better and check things. You saw Cindy cleaning things up.
Yep.
One of the things that's on my spring maintenance checklist is to exercise our breakers every spring. We've already done that. But while you've got it open, why not just...
What do you mean by exercise breakers? Just
turning them off. And my spring checklist, it's 3 times. And that's just to make sure the breakers will go on and off. If they don't go that nice little satisfying click like that,
yep,
then there's something wrong with the breaker. You need these things to work. So exercising the breakers while you're here is a good thing. I'll also take my screwdriver and I'll make sure that all of these connections, and again, this is why it's so important to have your power off. And I'm going to make sure my big boys up here are tight too.
Did you ever push the fuses in a little bit to make sure that they're all
That's a good
tight?
idea, yep. See, that guy's just a little loose right there. And like Cindy said, maybe give each of these little guys
just a push to make sure they're
in.
solid.
Okay, so that's pretty good for some making things better. Mm-hmm. What we're going to do is we're going to move the jumper switch. So you can see here this little jumper switch. It will have to be moved from the right side, which is for the flooded lead acid and AGM algorithm, over to the lithium side. We're going to first check out using our endoscope. We're going to get a good view of this. We get some proper light, and Cindy's cleaned things up. Yep. Things are looking good, so let's go ahead and make that change. Our batteries are due in tomorrow.
Yep. All right, get ready with the endoscope. And these things are really useful to look for things in hard to see places.
Yeah, you guys know how much I like this thing, so we're going to start. This is just going to give us a real nice picture of what this thing looks like. And there's where it says lithium. And whiz is for the other one. Okay, so we've got Cindy doing this because she's got littler hands and a little bit more patience than I.
Yeah.
Have you pulled it out yet?
Yeah, I pulled it out, and I think I just got it on there. Actually, it took me a little bit because it was. Yeah, I think I did get it. It's down. Sure. It was a little hard to see because you have to move it from that one pin to the next pin over, and
yep,
it was just sort of a matter of getting it the right angle. So, but I think I did have it. Yep. It looks like it is. It's in like flint.
So the next thing you need to do to convert to the lithium battery is, in our case at least, go from the standard round terminal lug connections to the blade type that is on the lithium battery. I was going to do that anyway. These things are pretty old and pretty crappy. You can see there's some cracks in them and stuff. So I had that on my list to replace anyway, even if we weren't going with the blade types. But now we're going to use this type of connector where we can screw it on. So for these types of connectors to the battery cables, you really can't use like a standard electrical crimping tool. When I was doing my shunt installation, I bought this off of Amazon. It's like $40. It's a hydraulic crimping tool, and this is what you need for those heavy gauge wires. So we'll see how this thing works as we put this on, but this is really what you need. You have to have that good connection, and this is what does it.
So you're just sort of snipping it.
Yep. So I have an excess piece of battery cabling here, so I've just kind of tested to make sure that that's fit that I want. So I'm going to go ahead and mark where to remove the installation.
Why do you have to do that?
Just so that these cables are actually pretty short, and I'm worried that I'm actually going to have enough room. I'm kind of a little worried, so I don't only want to remove the amount of insulation that I really need.
Okay. One piece is off, right?
Yep. So it's interesting, there's some oxidation there, so as I'm twisting the ends here, I'm kind of cleaning off that oxidation, but we'll do it a little bit better with a little scraper here. I want that copper to be super clean when I put it on.
What kind of tool is that?
This is my battery terminal cleaner. So we had to go back and get another lug nut. I messed up the first one. The key is to get it into your crimper first. Flush.
So you line it up first in your crimper.
Yeah.
And that really made the difference, huh?
It did. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Okay. You can see we've got a nice crimp on this. We've been tugging and pulling and everything. I'm going to slide the shrink hose over it, heat it up, check our connections. That's looking pretty good.
Yep. So what are you using to do this?
This is my Dremel torch.
So keep the connection watertight.
Yeah, it should.
But the box will still have a cover.
Yeah. So we've run into our first problem, of course, is that this is not really long enough to come in really realistically like
you would want that.
Would want to. So I'm thinking I'm just going to run it this way and out. Let's see how that goes. See if I can't get any more.
The red one seems to fit, but everything's coming in on the right. Everything's coming in on actually the left side, and the negative terminal is on the right. Yeah. So you needed a little bit more length on the black cable.
I don't know if this will help things at all.
But we're just gonna have to troubleshoot a little bit. We'll see how it works out. So we've got everything on.
Yep. So I know the battery voltage is good, but what I want to do is I want to check the voltage at the terminal to make sure our crimp was good. So the battery at the blade connector is 13.3. At the terminal, it is 13.3, so our connection's good. And then I'm finally going to check my booster for my TPMS, and that's 13.3. So everything's connected. It's looking good. We're going to go ahead and zip tie these two wires together and feed them out the side there. Put the cover on, connect it, and go from there.
We should be in business.
Yep.
So the cover's on.
Yep. So now we're just going to put our strap on. We did do a zip tie there to keep those together. One lithium battery. All right, we just put it onto use.
Yep. The Victron is not going crazy.
No, it shouldn't be.
I know, but
let's go check out what the well, yeah, let's go ahead and let's go upstairs and get that Victron. Okay, so from a quick look, it's still reading 13.28, which is exactly what it was. Our drain is 0.69, so things are good. Now the final step in our lithium battery conversion is we're going to take the settings for our Victron, which are set for our lead acid battery, and we're going to convert those over to the lithium settings. Okay, because we've got, you know, now we've got different, we can actually charge this battery right down to almost nothing.
So the timings should all be different because they, on a lead acid there would be faster loss of battery life.
Right. So it was great. The Battleborn service people were great. I gave them a call. They literally walked me through, even before we put this on because I didn't have it. They walked me through the settings on the training page. I set everything and then took a picture of the correct settings with my phone. And we're going to go ahead and do that right now. Okay, so we've updated all of our settings. I'll put a picture of the settings right probably here so that you can check your Victron settings against what the Battleborn people told me in case yours aren't right. The only difference probably with yours would be the ampere hours. You notice I've got a group 24. That's the only one that would fit, which is a 75 ampere hour. You might have 100 or 200 ampere hours. All right, one of the things I always like to do is to capture a thermal image when I do electrical work, and you can see, just to make sure that there's no connection that's generating a lot of heat or a lot of high resistance, which results in a high heat. And I don't know if that little white spot there is good or bad. We'll keep an eye on that, but you can see the terminal connections themselves are pretty good. There's no hot spot there. All right, well, there you have it. After 22 years of running flooded lead acid.
One crappy lead acid battery.
Yeah, we even have videos on how to use one crappy lead acid battery. You can check out that video here. It also shows a lot about how solar interacts with any battery. So that's a good video there.
Yep.
But yeah, we have converted now to lithium.
Yes. So we're not sure if Ant-Man's going to still be around, but maybe he will be in a different incarnation sort of thing.
So we're filming this on a Friday. On Monday, we are heading off to Button Bay State Park for some boondocking where we're going to put the system to the test.
Yes, and if anybody knows about Vermont state parks, they know that they have no hookups whatsoever.
And so we're going to be there for 4 or 5 days.
Yep.
And if you're watching this video on Tuesday, every Tuesday at 5 o'clock, well then we uploaded it from Starlink because our plan is to upload this video using our lithium battery.
Hopefully.
With our inverter on Starlink.
Yep. And hopefully our fridge, we're going to test that one out too and make sure that we are on spot with the fix that we did with the propane fridge.
So if you like this video,
give us a big thumbs up.
And if you think we've earned a subscription, click the subscribe.
And comment below if you have a lithium battery or if you have a lead acid battery and which one do you prefer? Because
we come out with RV and Airstream related videos just like this one every Tuesday.
Thanks for watching.
And I made it through this whole video without catching on fire.